Brothers in Arms Road to Hill 30 is a great game, and you don't need to have played the previous 29 games to understand the story. The game's opening won't make much sense to you, but that's intentional.
Liger, where's the goddamn armor? He's gonna die! He needs help! We're all gonna die! Something on that fucking radio! Ah! Damn it! Fucking cross bastard!
In media res is a storytelling technique in which the story begins at the height of the conflict. It's pretty common in shows, movies, and of course video games, but I've never seen a game do it better than Brothers in Arms. Shooters were enjoying a peak in the early 2000s. You had Halo 2 on Xbox, SOCOM 2 on PS2, and Battlefield 2 on PC, just to name a few. It was a great time for virtual soldiers, less so for real ones. It's also my favorite era of gaming, but there was one game in particular that didn't play like any other first-person shooter. Releasing in 2005, Brothers in Arms Road to Hill 30 was a different breed of shooter. You play as Sergeant Matt Baker, an American paratrooper with the 502nd. Your goal? Secure the French town of Veerville.
We have to link up with the other squads in Veerville.
Nailed it. During the events of D-Day. The entire game takes place over the course of 10 days, starting from the initial landing into France. While Medal of Honor Frontline was showcasing the famous Normandy beach landings, Brothers in Arms takes you into the beautiful French countryside. At first glance, it seems like any other shooter, but you won't make it long if you try playing it as one. See, Sergeant Matt Baker is just that, a sergeant, meaning he leads men into battle. You're not a lone wolf super soldier. You'll command up to 2 squads of 3 men each, across various missions in the French countryside. These squads consist of a fire team, which excels at pinning enemies in place, and an assault team, which specializes in flanking. Pin the enemy, flank the enemy. That's the crux of the gameplay, but how it manifests will change rapidly and often. Sometimes you can't flank. Sometimes there's multiple enemy squads to deal with. Sometimes there's enemy tanks. Sometimes you command a tank. Sometimes you command 2 tanks. The general gist is this. You encounter an enemy squad. They take cover behind waist-high cover. You tell one of your squads to do the same, then suppress the enemy. When the circle above the enemy drains, that tells you they're suppressed. This means they won't fire back as much or as accurate, giving you and or another squad the opportunity to flank around the enemy's position, granting you a clear shot at them. Sounds simple? Because it is, but Brothers in Arms knows this. It's anything but stupid. In fact, the AI is still impressive to this day. The game's fairly short, clocking in at about 5 hours, but the pacing couldn't be better, which is where Brothers in Arms really shines. This game is over 20 years old, and it has smarter NPCs than many people I know in real life, let alone other video games. Allow me to rant for a bit, because this tells me that intelligent NPCs aren't some unsolvable problem. Just look at Fear, that also released the same year, or even further back, the original Half-Life. NPCs are dumb because developers don't prioritize them. Developers don't prioritize them because publishers demand high returns. Publishers demand high returns because consumers are the dumb people I know who think Battlefield 6 is great because look at those explosions, bro. Never mind the fact that destruction in games peaked at Red Faction Guerrilla and hasn't even been approached since. Alright, rant over. My point is, Brothers in Arms wasn't even some AAA shooter with unlimited cash behind it. It was actually Gearbox's first attempt at an original IP. It's a bit strange to think of it today, but Gearbox was known as the small development team making expansions and console ports for Half-Life. Today, they're known for Borderlands and their eccentric and oftentimes annoying CEO, Randy Pitchford. But as lame as they may seem sometimes, no one can argue or dispute the fact that they're an amazingly competent developer with some real bangers in their catalog. The AI does become a little predictable by the end of the game, but it's still unlike most games today. Friends and enemies alike will find nearby cover when under fire, return fire, and my favorite detail are all the call-outs they make.
Get out of the way!
Stand in front of your allies, they'll tell you to move. Take a bullet, they'll call out to you. Go down during a firefight, they'll scream that Baker's down.
Baker! Oh shit!
The enemy is equally smart and will avoid and even call out to friendlies to avoid any grenades you or your allies throw their way. They'll even reposition once you flank them and start firing at them. Now, the system's not perfect. It's the first of its kind, so expect some jank and limitations. The animations are solid, with motion capture being used for almost every animation, but the animation switching is really jarring. What I mean is that enemies jitter around too much for my liking, as they go from taking cover to returning fire. I think the most egregious flaw is that enemies never flank you, the character. They only ever react to you and your squad. They have no agency of their own, and they'll never take the initiative. I think this one change could have really elevated the game massively. They never charge you, flank you, or even lob grenades your way. Now, this doesn't break the game, but once you notice it, you can't not. I wish they would pin you down and flank you, call out your position to allies, throw grenades at you, have their tank allies assault your position, or even use mortar teams or planes against you. There's even mortars in the game, which we'll get to later. Instead, they just sit there and wait for you to deal with them.
All right, it's connected. Backblast clear. Oh, shit! Load another! Hang on! Load it now, Garnet! Hang on! No, hang on! If you get me killed, Garnet, I swear to God I will fucking kill you! Load it! Wire's connected! Go!
Which leads us into what this game really is. You'd think it's a first-person shooter, but spend any time with it and you'll see that beneath that facade, it's a puzzle game. Almost every encounter has a clear solution for you to find, and the ones that don't are when the game's at its worst. There are several sections in the game, particularly towards the end, without any clear solution. It'll be you against a machine gun emplacement with no real way to flank it. No grenades are given, and no alternative solution, other than what feels like to me, is to cheese the game to overcome it. There's one part in particular where you need to kill an enemy squad, while 2 enemy tanks begin moving towards your position. There's only 2 ways to counter tanks in the game. Either have a grenade yourself, run up on a tank and hit a button to climb it and throw said grenade down the hatch. Which, come on guys, lock up your stuff. The other solution is to use RPGs provided by the game world. As for the grenade solution, it requires you to, have a grenade on you, and it's up to the game what equipment you're given per mission. Some missions you have a Garand, sometimes an SMG with 2 grenades, sometimes a sniper, which is super OP, we'll get to those weapons later, but my point is, oftentimes you can't rely on having grenades to deal with tanks. Worth noting, while you can pick up enemy weapons if you run out of ammo, you will never find grenades out in the world. You either start the mission with them, and that's all you get, or you just start with none at all. They're not just valuable against tanks, but they're also great at suppressing the enemy and of course killing them, by allowing you to throw them behind cover, if you're skilled enough. But let's say you have no grenades, you're grenadeless. What's one to do? Well, luckily the game always has a crate of RPGs nearby for you to use when there's a tank about. They never run out, so fire to your heart's content. This isn't the most eloquent solution, but it's far less frustrating than having the ammo run out, since the RPGs have a strong arch to them when fired. They're not the easiest to aim with, so expect to miss and expect to die a lot. Even on the normal difficulty, this game ain't easy. But I actually think it's just about perfect in terms of difficulty. I died several times in several really difficult spots, but never more so than about 5 or so times, so it never got overly frustrating. And there's also this super smart thing it does. If you keep dying at the same spot, the game will be like, hey, you keep dying here, do you want us to resupply you and fill up your HP? I mean, how cool is that? It reminds me of Devil May Cry asking if you're bitch made and want to play on easy mode, without the insults of course. And after you beat the game, there's a second ultra hard difficulty that unlocks. So you can play the game again, and it just gets harder and harder. The firefights are both weirdly lethal and not at the same time. It's a bit hard to discuss because it's something you should really experience for yourself. Sometimes the enemies are crack shots and you'll take a random bullet to the head. Other times I bunny hopped to a flanking position like I was playing Quake, dodging every enemy shot. I even did this against tanks with some success. So it's not like I only did it against enemies who were suppressed. This was as frustrating as it was exhilarating. I suppose there are worse things to call a war game than unpredictable. I noticed it more often when charging an enemy position. Although it does happen, getting shot while behind cover is very rare. I would be shocked if the game calculated a higher likelihood to get shot while outside of cover versus behind it. It always feels like there's some sort of hidden shield keeping you safe while you're crouched behind some dirt, giving orders to your squad. Though there are rare exceptions where I'd catch a bullet with only my head exposed, but these moments just punctuated the gameplay rather than detract from it. They were simply too far and few between to be frustrating. On the flip side is yours and your squad's firing. Your squad will never take out an enemy unless they're either flanking the enemy or the enemy is outside of cover, which happens often if they're running in from outside the map. I understand the rationale behind this, but I think the game could do with 10% more chaos and randomness factored in. I want to die to some crazy stuff more often, and I want to succeed in some really wacky and lucky ways too. Those moments are what you'll take away and remember the most. To help you be all tactical is a tactical map. At any time, you can press a button to stop time and get an overview of the engagement. It sounds really cool and useful, and maybe on a harder difficulty it is, but on normal, I used it maybe twice in the entire game. It ruins the pacing, and it's just not really necessary. Like, you're never unable to see other points of cover or where the enemy is at, and the maps are so small, there's typically only one or maybe two paths you can take to go around the enemy. I just never found it particularly worthwhile. It doesn't help that the animations accompanying it take some time. Like, if you want to use it, you got to press the button, and it takes a little bit to pull the camera out, and then you can move the camera around to see, and it just feels slow and sluggish. I'm not a fan. It's a neat but ultimately pointless feature I never used. Now you might be wondering, well, it's a first-person shooter. Can't you just shoot the enemy yourself? It's not like they're completely hidden behind cover. And you know what? You're partially right. While it is possible to take out enemies behind cover, it's exceptionally difficult thanks to the inherent inaccuracy of the weapons. They don't feel terrible or anything, but it's just not worth the time, effort, or ammunition to spend 10 minutes trying to pick off an enemy when you can simply spend 30 seconds suppressing and then flanking them. There's a rough circle for where your shots will land, so pinpoint accuracy isn't possible. And this circle is generally much larger than the tiny fraction of an exposed enemy. Regardless of what gun you use, they'll all behave this way, though there are noticeable differences between the weapons. You have the iconic Garand, I don't know how to pronounce it, and the Kar 98, the Thompson SMG and MP40, the Bar and STG, the American Bazooka, and the German Panzerfaust. The Americans also get a scoped Springfield sniper. You'll only use that for a couple missions though. And there's also an M1 carbine, which you'll see and use occasionally. I don't think there's a German equivalent of that carbine though. Oh, and there's also the pineapple grenades and German machine gun emplacements you can use. There's also Browning 50 cal machine guns on top of the Sherman tanks that'll appear in a few missions. Taking a page from Halo, you can only carry 2 guns at a time, which is actually plenty, and they're all a joy to use and react relatively realistically to their real-life counterparts. If you're at all interested in World War II history, Brothers in Arms is a must-play. This isn't surprising when you find out the lengths Gearbox went to ensure it was historically accurate. Gearbox CEO Randy Pitchford claimed that after playing this game, you could go to the sites where the game takes place and easily find your way around.
Yeah, I like to joke that if you memorize the game, you could go to Normandy and become a tour guide. Look at this guy.
Do I think he's full of shit? No, actually, I don't. It's not 100% truth, I'm sure, but I don't think he's that far off. Though it's funny, after completing the game, there's a demonstration presentation he put together along with the game's military advisor and writer, Colonel John Antle. And watching the video after beating the game, it's so easy to tell how much of this video demonstration they did is complete bullshit, and how far Randy and the people in the gaming industry will go to outright lie to your face. I know the video here is heavily compressed, but you can still tell the game looks nothing like this. The animations, dialogue, and even graphics are all heavily scripted.
He has a Thompson submachine gun. He uses that machine gun, which is very good for rapid fire at close ranges to close with and destroy the enemy.
Look at him. Look at his eyes. Look at his face. It's almost creepy.
You okay, Sarge?
All right. We spent a lot of time to try to create real people because as a squad leader, I make decisions that will affect their lives and their death, and those need to be important decisions.
The entire presentation is presented as if you're just walking around the game, as if this is how it plays, when it's just not. Like, I beat the game. It doesn't look or play like this at all. It's pre-scripted so much, it'd make a North Korean tour guide blush. I wouldn't normally have a problem with this, but for the fact that they're going to imply it's just how the game is, that's the part that pisses me off. This isn't the game. You know it's not the game, but you want me to believe it is. You're just lying to my face. Of course, this isn't at all shocking, considering the bullshit Gearbox and Randy in particular are known for. It's a shame because why even lie about it? It's a great game. I don't know why you'd make up stuff. It wasn't to secure funding, so just for hype, I guess? I mean, gamers are generally pretty dumb, and a lot of you guys pre-order digital games, so yeah, I guess I can't be too hard on Randy. But on a more positive note, as I was saying, this game is incredibly authentic. The uniforms, the weapons, and of course the tactics, they're all excellent. So much so, even the History Channel used it as part of a documentary hosted by actor Ron Livingston. Of course, I'm not a World War II expert, but looking online, the greatest errors seem to unironically be, like the hip bag on one character technically is meant to be on another because riflemen didn't use this type of hip bag, but grenadiers did. It's stuff like that, so yeah, you're in good hands. The sound is also excellent, with explosions in particular having tons of punch to them.
Come on, Revis. Look at me, buddy. Look at me. That shot wasn't far off. We gotta move. He's not even dead yet. Hang on. Obi, Zanovich, let's move. What are you doing? I'm saving your ass. Fuck. Let's go.
They carry a sort of crack to them rather than a single boom. This makes them feel exceptionally deadly, which, yeah, don't get hit by mortars. Unfortunately, I have a very, very specific gripe with the game's sound. This occurs in a lot of games, so maybe it's just me and it's just a me issue, but the game does this thing where every bullet you fire, it actually plays the audio as if you're firing multiple rounds. If you fire multiple rounds, it's fine, it sounds great, but if you fire one round, it sounds like the audio is awkwardly cut off. I guess they never recorded a single shot or just never implemented that sound, I'm not sure. Of course, this only affects automatic weapons. Anything semi-auto is perfect. And that goes double for the ASMR-like ping from the Garand. I even love how there's 2 reload animations for the Garand. One for if you still have rounds in the clip, versus one if you don't. It's so subtle, but a great attention to detail. And I'm sure a bunch of people are really upset in the comments saying, hey, you're mispronouncing it. And yeah, I could just go online and see how you pronounce the Garand or Garand, Grant, I don't know, but you know what I'm talking about. The point is, the audio is not perfect, though it is very, very good.
Fuck him.
I mentioned characters making callouts earlier, and while it is great, expect to hear the same taunts time and time again. I can't tell you how many times I heard Heartstock talk about shooting kneecaps today, but it was way too much. The voice acting itself is fantastic. Troy Baker does a fantastic job as protagonist Matt Baker, but the rest of the cast, they seem like lesser known voice actors, which is a shame because everyone kills it. I can't even find out who voiced who. There's scant information online, there's no credits in the manual, and as far as I can tell, the only credits that exist are in-game, if you let the final cutscene play. But even those credits don't list who voices who. As an aside, I highly recommend turning on LI names in the options. This brings up a Call of Duty style name tag above all your friendlies. It just helps me remember who's who and give a voice to the name. Regardless of the voice actor identification woes, it's all fantastic quality stuff. Up there with a lot of RPGs even.
Why the hell did you bring back that busted piece of crap?
Not sure. Seemed like the right thing to do.
What are you gonna do? Bury it?
And what really helps sell it is the writing. It starts off pretty melodramatic and, dare I say, a bit cringe.
He said every soldier has two families. Those you raise, and those you raise hell with.
But it quickly earns that cringe. Give it some time, and I promise you'll find yourself being sucked into the game world.
This is it? One squad? Well, shit. Today's as good a day to die as any.
The entire game has this haunting melancholy to it. You're a small team, and there's signs of a larger war happening, but it still feels so lonely, as if it could slip into a horror game at any moment, like it's just teetering on the edge. The game does have its moments, but I'd never call it a horror or even suspense game. It's just sad. The game's really sad. I also love how the raindrops hit your face when looking up, but not down. You can stand in the rain and pretend you're not crying. I don't know if I would go so far as to call the game anti-war, though it does hammer home the idea that you're an asshole, surrounded by assholes, far from home. There is no glory out here, just a righteous cause and a lot of sacrifices for it. It reminds me a lot of Spec Ops, and if you enjoyed that game, I think you'll find a lot to love here too. It doesn't harp on the tragedies of war too much. The game has some levity in it, so don't mistake it for that, but it's just so different from a mindless Medal of Honor game. The game begins with an airdrop over Normandy, but of course, things don't really go as planned. With your plane shot up and one of your troops already dead, it's time to drop into Normandy. Like a lot of FPS games, you land without any of your equipment. This is a great opportunity to teach you the controls. You can jump, you can crouch, it's all the basic stuff. Fortunately, you do meet up with some of your squad. Your squad commander hands you his pistol until you can find your primary weapon.
Oh, shit. Take my 45 and shoot anything that's wearing gray.
This is where the game teaches you about its suppression system and tactics system. Like I said earlier, you can send guys behind cover, tell them to suppress the enemy, which affects their accuracy and rate of fire, and then you or your squad can flank around. This is really the crux of the game, and what you're going to be spending the most of your time doing. It also introduces this tactical map, which I don't want to repeat myself, but I just never ended up using it. Now, maybe I'm crazy. If you played this game and you used it a bunch, let me know in the comments. I just never found a good use for it. Most of the objectives in the game are pretty standard stuff. You either have to go from point A to point B, or you have to blow up an anti-AA turret emplacement thing, or you gotta kill some bad guys. It's nothing too special or interesting, to be honest. But you're really not here for the gameplay objectives. What you're here for is the story and unique gameplay that it brings. Now, the game kind of decentivizes this, but I found it too appealing to always run up to guys and just kill them myself. What I really enjoy are the blood splatter effects. Now, this is a little bit morbid maybe, but I love how the blood splatters behind the enemy and lands on the ground or the wall. It just makes the battles feel more dynamic and interesting. One of the first guns you get, and something you're going to find quite often, is the enemy Kar 98. Now, this rifle is actually pretty good despite being a bolt action. Bolt action weapons, if you're unaware, means you have to cycle the round after every shot. Basically, it just means it has a really low rate of fire. Fortunately, it's extremely powerful. It typically downs enemies in just one shot. If you use the M1911, it can take several shots to the body. And even like the M1 carbine or the SMGs in the game, those can also take lots of rounds. So if you want something that just puts the enemy down quickly, I would actually recommend picking this gun up. I wouldn't worry too much about ammo in the game, because even if you do run out with whatever weapon you're given at the start of the mission, you're always going to find enemy weapons you can pick up and use, and they're basically as good, if not almost identical, to the American weapons you get. Another one of the huge positives of the game are just how cool the guns feel to use. They're not very similar to each other. Every weapon is really distinct and unique from each other. After every chapter, you'll get a medal that corresponds to whatever difficulty you played on, as well as unlocking some extra bonus content. This will be stuff like concept art, developer interviews, stuff like that. I miss when games added this behind the scenes stuff. It feels like they don't really do that anymore.
In 1944, The German squad and its tactics revolved around the MG42 machine gun.
We've managed to regroup with our leader Mac, Radio Man Leggett, he's the screamy guy from the intro, and Hartstock, who often goes by his nickname Red. Red tells us about a kill he got earlier in the morning.
Jesus, it's great to see you guys. I spent this morning in a ditch full of water, but I got one. Picked him off as he sipped his morning joe. Did I mention it was great to see you guys?
He actually did a lot more than that, which we'll explore in the sequel, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. Our mission is to clear the main road while our leader tries to find other paratroopers in the area. He's given us command of Red, as the game has us go through a brief tutorial explaining the squad mechanics I've already told you about. One thing I forgot to mention is there's another command you can give, a charge where your allies will charge the enemy position. This is hyper aggressive, but dangerous. One group is dying, either your guys or the enemy. I've had entire squads wiped by trying this, so be careful. It's meant to be used when the enemy is suppressed and you outnumber them. High risk, high reward. The game's also not the first, but it was one of the earliest to include the Havoc physics engine. Sometimes it's a bit silly with bodies flying, but generally it's good stuff. Unfortunately, the game gives you a jump button, but it only works for some walls. There's so many waist-high walls you can't jump over, and it drives me nuts. Why? Just let me jump. We run into two of our squad mates, and because I don't have ally names turned on in the options right now, I don't really know who they are. This is why I recommend doing that. Nearby is a grim reminder that this war isn't only terrible for people. Also nearby is an enemy machine gun you'll need to use to fend off waves of enemy attacks. We meet up with Mac while Leggett talks cringe poetry while we overlook the beach, and that's mission complete.
I understand the large hearts of heroes, the courage of present times. It's from a poem my dad used to read me as a kid.
Next morning, and it's time to kill some Germans. It doesn't come up often, but enemy limbs can be blown off with explosives. Because it's rare, it's really cool when you do notice it. As we continue traveling through the countryside, we run into a German breakfast.
Missed!
Once we're finished clearing the area, we get a new assignment the next morning. American gliders are going to be landing soon. The German army erected some wooden poles that'll tear them to shreds, so it's our job to tear them down. This game does a great job showcasing lots of interesting parts of the European front. If you're at all interested in World War II history, I can't recommend it enough. Later in the day, we meet up with our buddy Sergeant Risner. He's got a Sherman tank, which is now our tank.
Just tell me what you want me to do and I'll do it. Consider me part of the squad.
You issue it commands just like any squad. Difference is, it's impervious to small arms fire. The pathing on it is a little funky, but just send it into enemy squads and let it chew them apart. You can even climb on the back of it and use the mounted machine gun in third person, though this leaves you vulnerable to enemy fire. Worth mentioning, Risner is Baker's best friend, and they've known each other since they were kids. I'm sure this isn't foreshadowing anything, and he's dead. The tank gets hit by an RPG while in a cutscene, killing the crew inside and bringing the tank to a stop. Risner and Baker open fire to fight off the German ambush, but Risner is shot.
Hey, Baker. Sorry about your friend. It's just a shitty deal.
Well, in war, everybody gets a shitty deal.
It's day 3 of D-Day, and Mac tells us there's no time for grieving. He assigns us to take out some enemy machine gun nests. Next day, we get some weirdly realistic morning conversation.
All I'm saying is, logistically, Superman would break Batman in half.
Are you calling the Batarang a sissy toy?
Yeah, with a name like Batarang, why would anyone think Batman's a sissy?
Well, Superman doesn't even have a cool identity. He just puts on glasses and acts like a jackass.
And it's a wonder you don't like him, Leggett.
I happen to like superheroes that have a brain.
Leggett! He can melt things with his eyes! His eyes!
I'm surprised. There's actual name drops of Batman and Superman. It makes you realize how rarely you hear real-world IP callouts in games, and how much I miss it. Games need more of it. It immediately makes the characters and this world way more believable and charming. But this moment is cut short by a mortar ambush. Fuck mortars in this game. They're terrifying. Cover doesn't work against them, they can kill you and they can kill your squad. There's just no real defense against them other than running. Though I think they fall in the same dozen or so spots. Day 4 and we're getting a farm. Hopefully with rabbits. Objective is to take the farm, and we get a new tank. Risner got replaced in like 2 missions. New tank guy doesn't get a name, which is either a lucky or unlucky sign. Max splits the squad into 2. Leggett and 2 soldiers will attack from another side of the farm, while we take it head on. Goddamn mortars! We take the farm and regroup with Leggett, the only surviving member of the B squad. The soldiers who went with us blame Leggett for their deaths.
They're dead. There were too many of them. God.
The cracks are starting to show, as group cohesion is failing.
Maybe one of us should go talk to him.
And say what? Thanks for getting our friends killed? Better luck next time? Fuck him.
Red, leaving him alone isn't gonna help anything.
Well, not seeing him is sure as hell gonna help me. Skinny prick better not cross my path.
Would you listen to yourself, Desola? He fought too. He almost died with them.
Did he? How do we know he wasn't off in a bush somewhere and left him to die?
Desola, keep talking like that and we're gonna have a real problem here. You've never seen me have a real problem. Baker, there's no time for this. Focus is key. If you can't stay focused today, just tell me and I'll get another squad leader.
It's a pretty accurate portrayal of group dynamics changing under stress, and it's super rare to see in a video game. Most of the squad's not taking it very well, and Leggett in particular is becoming really withdrawn, which can't really blame him. Survivor guilt is a bitch. No time for trauma though, as Mac tasks us with blowing a bridge to the French town of Carentan. Before the sun sets, we're ambushed again by mortars.
What are you doing? I'm saving your ass!
Fuck! Let's go.
This is the first time the game gives you a Springfield sniper. It's by far the most OP gun in the game. Unlike the inaccurate rifles and SMGs you've been using, this thing can just insta-kill any enemy, so long as you have sight of them. There's no bullet drop and plenty of ammo. It's a really fun change of pace. And don't worry about it being OP, because the game knows this. You'll only get it for a few missions in the entire game. Just as we're making progress, Corian is hit by a mortar. Corian! Oh my god! Oh no, the humanity! Oh.
Very little goes through your mind when you're knocked out by a bomb from a low-flying Stuka. You're not really awake or asleep, you're just sort of there.
As we're running from the mortars, we're dive-bombed by enemy Stuka planes. One of our squad mates, Desola, is turned into paste, and Red's not taking it so well.
Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make any goddamn sense.
We gotta go, Red. We gotta go.
He throws his helmet into the river as we meet up with Lieutenant Cole. He wants our help in taking a nearby farm, but this time we have artillery support in the form of smoke.
Stay with me! Let the smoke build! Wait for my order!
This smoke covers our assault. It's a really neat set piece. Not on par with early Call of Duty games, but still very memorable and lethal. We all regroup and set up base camp at the newly acquired farm. The next morning, and it's day 6. We got friendlies pinned down by the enemy, so Max sends us out to rescue them. At base camp, you can see friendly casualties lined up, which is a fantastic attention to detail. Every mission, you're surrounded by death. And mortars. Lots of mortars.
Let's stick together!
We all knew that no matter how bad the fighting was, when we got to Carentan, it would be worse. With only 7 of us left, I'm trying not to ask myself how many more will die today. I guess no one ever said war would be easy. If they had, there would probably be a lot more wars.
Baker, we gotta clear this city. I got another squad coming in south of you. They're hurt worse than you guys, so I'll be assaulting with them.
How many Krauts?
Whatever's left. We're not too sure. I trust you, Baker.
The following morning, and it's go time. We're finally pushing into Carentan. Max splits up the squad as Leggett and him go up to group up with some friendlies, while we push into the city. This level's one of the most memorable, mainly because the city is such a change of pace from the countryside. It's also super frustrating in lots of parts. The close quarters fighting means it's super lethal, so expect to die often. Day 7, and we finally taken Carentan.
Which is why I say we break out the champagne.
Where do you think we're gonna get champagne, Obi? Leggett lobbed a grenade into the only place in town with liquor.
But we're expecting a counterattack, so everyone's on edge.
We'll get him when this is over.
There it is.
Obi!
Before he was yeeted off the church, notice the commentary, how Leggett destroyed the town's liquor, and how because of it, the squad hates him more. This is such good storytelling. It's slow and pretty subtle for a video game, and Leggett of course knows all this. Every fuck up stresses him out more and more. Also, we get a sniper again, woohoo! Not only is it a change of pace, but after spending so long hiding behind cover, shooting guys and rarely killing them, it's so nice just to be able to aim and shoot. It's a bit of a power fantasy the game does a great job setting up. Eventually, you'll move down to a lower level of the church, and need to use RPGs against incoming enemy tanks. Destroy them all, and we successfully kept Carentan in American hands. Day 8, we leave Carentan but are pinned down in a natural trench. Where are we pinned down? Hill 30.
This is definitely where the party is gonna happen. Go between a rock and the whole goddamn German army.
Baker's hit by a mortar and goes unconscious for a bit. They don't do it as much nowadays, but there's been this trope in media of a soldier who gets hit with an explosion and passes out for a bit. I don't know if Saving Private Ryan was the first to do this, though I think Tom Hanks just had tinnitus for a bit in the beach scene and never actually lost consciousness. Regardless, war games love this trope. I assume they got it from that movie. Anyway, they always use this to make the scene more intense, but all I can think of is that now your protagonist is brain damaged. If you ever lose consciousness from something traumatic, most likely a car accident or a fall, that's pretty serious and almost always evidence of brain damage. I'm a bit off topic, but it's just something I always notice, and I don't know, I've never been a huge fan of the trope. We've come full circle to the start of the game.
Don't die. Hang in there. Leggett, where's the goddamn armor? He's gonna die. He needs help. They're all gonna die. You'll be on that fucking radio. Ah! Damn it! Fucking crowd bastards! Be back. You want me? Fucking take me! Take me!
Leggett's dead, and Mac gives us a final task. There's a group of friendly tanks searching for us in the area. Make it through the enemy position, find the tanks, bring them back. Save Baker's dozen. Baker 7 now. I don't know what we're down to, but it ain't looking good. This part is actually super frustrating because there's a very specific set path you need to follow, and if you deviate from it whatsoever, you'll be instantly killed by either machine guns, tanks, or random explosions. Also, you'll likely die a lot from all those things anyway, even if you do follow the path. So yeah, it felt broken, honestly. Which, related topic, but the game ran amazingly well on my modern Windows 10 PC. This is just the GOG version, which I think is the same as the Steam version, so don't be afraid of grabbing the series for PC. It runs at 60 FPS and even recognizes my 1440p monitor. The Allied tanks aren't far.
About time somebody showed up. I can't find F Company. It's a mess out there. We got all your radio relays, just couldn't find you guys. Hop on, Sergeant. Lead the way!
You grab both of them and haul ass back to Hill 30. There's enemy tanks too, but they're not as good at shooting and war and stuff. It did feel pretty great bringing home the tanks, saving the guy, and I bet Mac's proud of me. The squad recuperates back at the church in Carentan. We even bring back Leggett's radio.
Why in the hell did you bring back that busted piece of crap?
Not sure. Seemed like the right thing to do.
The end of a sad story arc, but maybe our squad will learn from him snapping and losing his shit. I mean, he'd still be alive if he didn't, and he likely wouldn't have snapped if the squad didn't give him such a hard time. Matt gives us a pep speech and even name drops the Big H himself.
For General Eisenhower. Don't screw that up! Second, I've been in the Army a long time, and in some pretty good units. But in all that time, well, I just want to say you guys did good. We lost some good men. But at the same time, we sent a message to Hitler and his boys that we're coming for him, that his days are numbered. Now I've got a promotion to make.
Like the superhero conversation, you never really hear Hitler name-dropped in games. Only one I can think of is Wolfenstein, maybe? Anyway, we're promoted, and even Red is promoted to Sergeant like us. Red being promoted teases the second game, Earned in Blood, which we'll be taking a look at soon. Thanks for watching, consider subscribing if you made it this far, and love you guys. See ya, bye.
Grab your gear, troopers! We've still got a war to fight!
3rd Squad, you heard the man. Move out.